Good morning. Good morning to you. Happy Saturday. Today is day 4 of our 5S Leadership Challenge. I've been having a good time. I didn't realize that I actually missed doing this. Hope you're doing well. I hope that your Saturday is going amazing. I want to verify that you can hear me okay. Let me just see that we are live. Okay, we are live. Well, good morning, everyone. I hope that you guys are doing great. It is early here in Southern California, but I am dedicated, I'm committed to finishing and seeing this to its end and to share with you today on a subject that is near and dear to my heart. It's all about support. Today is day 4, and it is all about support and community. And you know, the term strong woman, I prided myself on being a strong woman. There are many of the ladies that are in my circle that I would deem to be strong women, independent women, highly successful women, high capacity women, um, just really well-rounded, very accomplished, all of those things. And in all of that, each one of them would tell me that if I asked the question, what did you have in order for you to gain the success that you have gained throughout your career, throughout your business, throughout your life? What would you tell me? And without a doubt, without a doubt, every last one of them would say, I had support around me. Now, I'm not talking about that kind of support that they show up because your name appears as a decision maker, or they show up because they want to stay close to you because if you move up, they move up. I'm not talking about that kind of support. Now, we know that there are all types of people in the world. We know that, people are people. People can be the anomaly in any given situation, relationship, circumstance. And we've been dealing with several things. And so we're going to jump into that today. And I plan on being with you for 30 minutes. That's it. But if I do go over a little bit, please charge it to my head and not my heart. Want to get in and get out and just give you the value that you are taking your time to spend with me. So let me go ahead and get started here. Let's see. One moment. And we will be ready to go here right now. Okay. All right. So you should be able to see my screen here. And I want to welcome you to day 4 of the 5S Leadership Series. I am Coach Desi, and I'm a coach. I'm a strategist. I do behavioral consulting. I've spent many, many, many years in energy and in leadership development. Um, have had a very, very successful career, continue to have a successful career. What I have found in the middle of all of that is that I kept meeting the same woman as I've gone on my own personal growth journey, my own professional growth journey, and just seeing and interacting with different people over the years. I kept meeting the same type of woman. This woman, she's capable, she's proven, she's carrying more than anyone around her realizes. And she knows that she needs to change something, but can't quite figure out where to start. I know her. I was her. And so this is where this framework that I've been sharing with you for the past several days, that's where this framework comes from. So day one, we talked about spirit, um, who you are when nobody's looking, underneath the title. Day two, we talked about stewardship, where your best energy is actually going. And I had you do an activity around that. Yesterday, we talked about systems, building the structure that can actually carry the weight so that you don't have to hold it all. We looked at, um, the buckets, right? We looked at the buckets. Only you can do what someone else can do and things that shouldn't be done. And today we're focused on support. So read that subtitle. You were not built to lead alone. This is the pillar that most high capacity women they skip, and it's the one that ends up costing them the most. So here's what I've noticed these 4 days. We've covered spirit, stewardship, systems, and every single time, support is the pillar that most people resist. And it's not because they don't want help. It's because what they've done is that they've built an entire identity around not needing it. So I want you to think about that. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about. You've been the strong one, the one who figures it all out, the one who people come to, not the other way around. And that worked. It has worked for a long time, and it's gotten you to where you are. But at some point, that stopped being strength and it started being isolation. You pull back more and more and more. And the tricky part is that it still feels like you're being strong. It feels like you're being responsible. You don't want other people to carry perhaps what you consider your burdens. Um, it feels mature. I'm smart, I'm strong, I can think this through, I can figure this out. And it might even feel like leadership, like you're leading yourself well, because, strong people, they know what to do, they know how to handle things, but it's not. Isolation is a warning sign. It is a big warning sign. And the longer that you stay in that and you operate in that, the more your decisions, your health, and your business, your leadership, the people that you're responsible to, your team, your family, the more they absorb the cost. So we're going to walk through each of these items here on who's actually in your corner. So let's talk about number one. Good morning, Joan. Thank you for watching. Let's talk about number one, the performance of strength, the mask of competence that keeps others from knowing exactly what you need. This is a mask. This is who we think that other people want to see. And truth be told, most of you are wearing it right now without even thinking about it. It's that layer of competence that you project so that nobody in the room, nobody in your environment actually knows what you're dealing with. You do it at work, you probably do it at home, um, probably do it at your church. You probably definitely do it when you're at networking events. You do it on LinkedIn, you do it on Facebook. And here is the thing, it works. People see you as put together, you've got it all together, you don't look like you're struggling. Um, and because you keep it together, people trust you with responsibility. They assume that you've got it handled. And the problem is the more effective of a performance that you're putting on, the less anyone offers help. Why would they? Like, seriously, why would they? You look like you don't need it. And after a while, you start to believe your own act. You start to believe your own hype. You stop even knowing what you need because you've been so focused on not needing anything. That's not leadership, my friends. That is survival. It's survival with the dress on. It's survival dressed up as competence. Number two, what support looks like at this level. It's different from what it looks like before, and it's harder to ask for. So, the kind of support that you need right now is different than what you needed 5 to 10 years ago. Maybe, back then, maybe you needed a mentor, or you needed someone to show you how things work, right? You needed, maybe you needed encouragement. You needed someone to cheer you on, someone to tell you that you could do it. But today, that's not what you need anymore. Those of us who are a little bit more mature, that's not what we need anymore. What is needed at this level is harder to find and it's harder to ask for. You need people who are going to challenge your thinking. Now, let me say this a different way. You need people who are going to challenge your thinking without competing with you. People who they understand what it costs to be you, to operate at the level that you're operating at. People can tell you the truth even when it would be really comfortable to just agree with you, right? That kind of support, it's that kind of support, it is something that women who are genuinely, you know, how do I want to put this? If you are someone who is a high achiever, high capacity, this is something that you might be really bad at. And what it is letting someone see the entire picture, not the performance, not the curated picture, but seeing the real picture, the real one, where you actually are, who you actually are. Number three, the support audit. Mentors, peers, coaches, advisors, sponsors, being able to map who is actually in your corner. So when I say support, I'm not talking about people who love you. I know you have those. I'm talking about something more specific. So when I say mentors or coaches or your advisors, people who serve a very distinct role in your growth. So I want you to think about this honestly. Answer this question. Who's actually in your corner right now? Not 3 years ago. Who's actually in your corner right now? Not the person that you wish was there. I'm going to say that again. Not the person that you wish was there, but right now, today, who do you call when you need to think something through? Who do you have that pushes back on your ideas, opens doors for you, who holds you accountable, makes you take ownership of becoming the woman that you said that you want to become? Most women at this level can probably name one or two people, maybe, but that's not enough. There's a saying out there like you are like the five people that you spend most of your time with. It's not enough just to have one or two. And it's not because you're weak or there's some fragility there. The reason I say it's not enough is because just one or two people, they can't cover what real leadership support looks like. Who you are as a wife, who you are as a mother, who you are as in ministry, who you are as a manager, who you are as a business mogul, who you are in any of those roles. Do you have people in your corner that can challenge your thinking and hold you accountable to becoming the woman that you say that you want to be? One or two people can't cover all of those areas that you occupy and the real leadership support that it requires. You need a mix. It's very important. Number four, environment shapes outcomes. The people around you set the ceiling on what you believe is possible. Ladies and gentlemen, I know I'm talking to the ladies, but this applies for everybody, the young and the old alike. Your environment, your environment is set by those you keep in your space and what you believe is possible. John Maxwell says that your environment is the soil of growth. Now, I'm not saying that as a feel good. It's an observation about how people actually develop. The people around you, they set the ceiling on what you believe is possible. I cannot stress that enough. If, oh goodness, trying to think of the quote by Nipsey Hussle. Here it is. If you look around your circle and everybody in your circle is playing small, you don't have a circle, you have a cage. Now, when I heard that quote, that was prophetic to me. Okay. Go look it up, go check it out. But that was by Nipsey Hussle. If everyone in your circle is playing small is going to feel normal. If everyone around you is avoiding having hard conversations about money, about vision, about growth, you will avoid them too. It'll feel taboo to talk about. And it's because the environment has become so powerful. It doesn't mean that you're weak, but the environment has created a space of belief, and that belief is the power within that environment. That's why the rooms that you go into matter. That's why the things that you watch, the things that you listen to, things that you take in, the conferences that you go to, the coaching relationships that you invest in, the people that you spend your good breath actually talk to about any of the real stuff that you're going through, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. Those inputs, they're going to shape what you think is available to you. Now you might be saying, "Oh, Desi, no, I control this. I make all the decisions. I know what I want and that's what I'm going to go for." So the answer is yes. The answer is yes. But also, what is the thing that you said that you've wanted to do that hasn't been touched because you have not touched it? You have not pushed through. The discouragement you didn't tell anybody about. The excitement you were afraid to tell anybody about because you don't want to appear a certain way. If you are not intentional about curating the environment that you place yourself in and what you allow into your environment, you're going to end up becoming shaped exactly by that by default. Number five, asking for help as a leadership act. It's not weakness. It's the most strategic move a leader can make. Now, I keep saying leader because everyone leads someone, everyone influences someone. And that's the premise of whenever I'm talking about leadership. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So when it comes to asking for help as a leadership act, I want to reframe this a little bit um, because I know where most of you are on it. Asking for help feels like admitting that you can't handle it. I know, I know, I know. I put my hand over my own heart. because this was the one thing that I have struggled with for a very, very long time. Asking for help, especially after spending years proving that you can handle anything, asking for help feels like you're going backwards. But if you think about leaders who you actually respect, the ones who've actually they built something real, they're not doing it by themselves. They have coaches, they have advisors, they have partners, they have people, trusted circle of people who can see blind spots they can't see for themselves. And asking for help is not being weak. I remember, and I may have shared this with you a long time ago, but I'll share it again. I was in a season of my life where for 7 years, there was a major life issue that was happening. Now, they say, major life experiences are deaths, marriages, having a baby, getting a promotion, moving. I was doing all of those things. In a 7-year period, I had experienced two immediate deaths, had a baby, had a promotion, and I was drowning. I found myself drowning. I still had to show up every single day. And I made sure that externally, you didn't know what was happening because I handled my business. But internally, I remember going to go and talk to a therapist because I believe in therapy. You need Jesus and therapy. You need both. Um, and being in there and sharing, what my experiences were, I was just burnt out. And I remember walking back to my car and I get in my truck and I sit there and I just burst into tears and I'm angry. I began to just weep and scream and cry because I was angry because the entire time as I was going through that process of unloading, I felt so weak. And I remember hearing just the still small voice saying, strong women need help too. You're not alone. And I felt very weak, but that was also the beginning of a new experience because now that I became aware that it was not weakness to ask for help, then the healing could begin. Then clearing out the clutter could begin. And I could shift who um, I allowed into my environment and actually change my thinking. Because before we see the action, before we see it expressed in our lives, it starts as a thought. And then it becomes reinforced by the words that we say. So I learned that asking for help isn't weakness. It is honestly one of the most strategic moves that a leader can make. It means that you understand that your capacity is finite, your perspective, it has limitation, and the cost of getting it wrong alone is higher than the discomfort of asking for help. It's not being vulnerable for the sake of just being vulnerable. It's just good leadership. It took a lot for me to come to that realization that I needed the help. And I was still dealing with that angst of, oh, the outside voices. What are people going to think? What are people, all of that. And I realized hindsight is 2020. That was good leadership. So let's talk about how this plays out. Let me show you how this plays out. So the woman who is done asking for permission, you probably know her. She's the one that everyone looks up to in the room. She handles things. She leads well. She's seen her peers, they see her as strong, but very, very few people know and see the full story because she's carrying things that she doesn't talk about, decisions that she might not be sure about. Um, she's more tired in season than she ever lets on to. And the reason nobody offers her support is because she never lets them close enough to her to know that she needs it. So her competence has become a wall, and that wall effectively keeps people out while that competence keeps her standing. The second woman, now you might know these women as I'm talking about them. You might be a part, you might have all three of them in you. So just listen. So the woman who's rebuilding after the win. So she's the one who had a strong network once. Maybe she's the one who has, had a major role, major title, her position in the organization. When she decided to leave, whether it was by choice or not, a lot of that network went with it. So she didn't realize how much of her support system was borrowed until she needed it and it wasn't there anymore. So who's left? And that's the question that she's sitting with. Rebuilding a network from scratch at this stage feels different than it did at 30 years old. It feels heavier. It's more vulnerable. It's more personal. Now, our third woman is the woman who's ready for cleaner ownership. She has the people around her. She's not lacking people. She has the clients. She might have a team. There's a lot of activity around her. But nobody in her corner actually gets what this costs her. Nobody understands the weight of building like she's building, the money risk, the identity shift that she's had to make, the loneliness of making decisions that affect other people's livelihoods. She's surrounded by people, but when it comes to the hard stuff, the stuff that keeps her up at night, she's alone. She is by herself with those thoughts. So, which one do you recognize? Your environment is the soil of your growth. And if the soil isn't right, it doesn't matter how good the seed is. You could be talented, ambitious, you could be, clear on your vision, all of it. But if the people and the spaces around you aren't feeding that talent, that ambition, that clarity of vision, you're going to stay smaller than you meant to be. So this is truly about intentionality with who you let in and what rooms you put yourself in, because growth doesn't happen in a vacuum. It actually happens in community. So I'm going to do an activity with you, and um, I want to share what these circles mean, okay? So the first thing that we have is the inner circle. These are well, I'm sorry, you got the inner circle, we have the middle ring, and then we have the outer ring. So within the inner circle, these are your closest advisors. So they're the people that you can tell the truth to, and you'll actually listen to the truth from them. They're the people that are your champions, the ones who know the full picture. They're the ones that know the full story. They know all the dirt, but they still choose to be in your corner. So, who actually goes in this space? Who actually goes in this space? We're going to talk about that. Okay. Now, with the middle ring consists of your peers, collaborators, any of your accountability partners. So, these are people that you need who are building at a similar level. People that you can call to think out loud with and not vent to. You save that for your inner circle, okay? You don't vent to them, but you actually process some of your decision making. Who is there? And then we have the outer ring. The outer ring consists of mentors, sponsors, and the professional community or professional community. So in this ring, this is where you have people with the wider view than you do. This is people who have access or influence that you don't have yet. You know, they probably walked through the season you're in. Okay. So these are the three circles that we're going to look at from a different angle. And we're going to do an activity right now. And so here's the activity. This is the support map. So if you look at the three rings, I want you to take time and to fill in names, real people, okay? Not categories of people. So you're going to have your inner circle, you're going to have your middle ring, where you have peers, collaborators, accountability partners, and then you have your outer ring. So mentors, sponsors, professional community. Fill in real names, not categories. Okay? When you go through this exercise and you look at all three rings, where are you most alone? Which of the three rings is the emptiest? Okay? Which of the three rings are emptiest? As you go through this, it's going to be important because when we do this, we might have, names scattered across a few of the rings, but at least one of them is going to be almost completely empty. And that is usually the inner circle because that is the hardest one to fill. It's hard to trust people sometimes, especially when our identity is tied up with things that are external to us as opposed to who we truly are. Understanding and having the awareness of who we truly are. The inner circle, it requires the most vulnerability and the most honesty about what you actually need. So whatever ring is empty, that is your work. Okay, that's your work for now. That gap is not neutral because it's costing you something. It's going to cost you your clarity. It's going to cost you your confidence. And it's probably cost some decisions that you've been sitting on a lot longer than you've needed to sit on them. The leaders who grow the fastest are not the ones who know the most. They're the ones who are least alone. I want you to read that and let it settle because we've been taught that growth comes from knowledge and from skill and from working harder or getting smarter. And those things matter. But the leader who actually grows the fastest, the ones who build things that last, they're the ones who they don't have the most information. They're the ones with the strongest support system around them. And they've let people in. They ask for support, they ask for help, and they build environments that challenge them to become the best version of themselves so that they can discover and design the success that they're wanting. Being the smartest person in the room, that's not a flex. It means that you're in the wrong room. So tomorrow's day 5, tomorrow's our last day, and it is, we're going to be talking about strategy. So you've been honest about yourself, your time, your structures, and your support. And now tomorrow, we are going to take all of it and we're going to put it in service of a direction moving forward. Because none of this matters if you don't know where you're going. You can be managing your energy well, you can have great systems, you can have a strong support network, but if there's no strategy underneath that, you're organized, but you're not going anywhere in particular. And so tomorrow we're going to fix that. So we're going to be here at the same time, 6 a.m. And if today the support map, it has shown you something that you weren't expecting, or that pattern that runs through, um, it runs through all of the pillars. The Leadership Snapshot Audit, it scores every single one of them, and it's going to give you the numbers of where you actually are. Okay, so you can see here, you can scan that QR code. And also, I do a one-on-one debrief where we get together one-on-one for about 60 minutes. And it's just us, and we're going to look at your scores, and we're going to actually build a real plan for you. Okay, it'll be yours specifically. So if you book it before the 30th of June, I've got something really special for you. So there you have it. That information is there. So I want to thank you for showing up today. Your one thing that you have to do, I want you to look at that empty ring and do something about it. That's it. Have one conversation. Reach out to one person. Reach out to one person and ask for help. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I will see you again tomorrow. Take care. Okay.